John Malice is off tonight, but I know he's happy. Michael Cronley says the Raiders beat the Giants today.
They sure did, and you know what that means. After a 2-year absence, the Oakland Raiders are back in the pro football playoffs. Oakland shellacked the New York Giants 33-17 to clinch a berth in the postseason tournament. Now, Giant mistakes helped the Raiders. After a Chris Barr field goal, this blocked punt by Ted Hendricks set up the first Oakland score. Arthur Whittington scampered 8 yards for the TD. Now, after a Giants field goal made it 10-3, Jim Plunkett threw this 31-yard scoring pass to Cliff Branch. Later, another Barr three-pointer made it 20-3. But just before the half, Scott Bruner hits Leon Perry from 11 yards, and intermission, Oakland is up by 10. After another Plunkett TD pass, this one to Ray Chester, the Giants manage another score, Billy Taylor running in with less than a minute to play. Then the funniest play of the day, the Giants tried the onside kick. Derek Jensen grabs the ball, runs right past the onrushing New Yorkers, the final 33-17. So the Raiders are in the playoff. Now, if San Diego wins tomorrow, Oakland's the wild card team and will host Houston with Stabler, Tatum, and Casper next week. If San Diego should lose, the Raiders are division champs and they get a playoff bye. Well, there was a playoff-bound team at Candlestick today, but it wasn't the 49ers. They lost to Buffalo 18-13. The game was played in the rain. The Bills got on the board first. Ferguson to Butler pass for about 10 yards, made it 6-0. 49ers came right back, though. Cooper got the touchdown on a short run. Late in the first half, though, Buffalo scores again. Curtis Brown slugs it in from the 4. The Niners trail 13-6 at intermission. Poured all through the day. The crowd stayed through the rain, and they were rewarded in the third period. Joe Montana hits Sacramento's Easton Ramson. A short TD pass ties the score at 13. But after a Bill field goal, there's the big mistake. Snap from center sails way over Miller's head. Looks like an old-fashioned comedy. By the time he gets the ball, Buffalo gets 2 points. The last play, Montana drops back. Hail Mary pass into the end zone. No good. 49ers lose 18-13. They finish the season 6-10. Other games, Earl Campbell rushes 200 yards, then scores the winning touchdown. Houston clinches the wild card berth with a win over Minnesota. Cleveland's Brian Sipe threw for 3 touchdown passes. Brownies nipped the Bengals 27-24. The Browns win the AFC Central. New England's Matt Cavanaugh also threw for 3 scores. The Patriots kept their playoff hopes alive. They beat the Saints. They're the first team ever to lose 15 games in one season. The Rams took the Falcons into overtime, won on this Frank Corral field goal, both clubs heading for the playoff. And the Cowboys beat the Eagles, not by enough to win the division. Both clubs, though, still make the playoffs. Other games that meant absolutely nothing to the playoff picture, Washington beat the heck out of St. Louis, and Detroit, last year's worst team, knocks off Green Bay. Elsewhere, Kansas City clubs Baltimore, and Seattle continues the streak. They didn't win one home game all year. Today it was the Broncos' turn to do a number on the Seahawks. Now, here's how the playoff picture shapes up. The NFC is very clear. The Rams will visit Dallas next weekend, with the winner advancing with the 3 division champs, the Falcons, the Eagles, and the Vikings. But the AFC is still muddled. If San Diego wins tomorrow night against the Steelers, the Chargers are the Western Division champs, the Raiders are the wild cards. If the Chargers lose, the Raiders win the division, the Patriots are wild cards, and San Diego is finished. So it's if. And if Judge Crater and Jimmy Hoffa come out of hiding, they get to sting the Star-Spangled Banner together at the Super Bowl. So much for the ifs. Now, all of today's games had announcers, but remember yesterday's New York Jets-Miami contest didn't. NBC left them out as an experiment. And we asked you what you thought. Should the networks get rid of the football announcers? And here's what you thought. These are the results we had on at 11 o'clock last night. We're going to repeat them because some folks called in to say they missed the late news. 645 said, yes, we want peace and quiet. Get rid of the announcers. But 684, 51% say keep them working. So Howard Cosell has a good night's sleep. Finally, seriously, the condition of the field at Hughes Stadium may jeopardize Sacramento's chances of keeping the Camellia Bowl here after next season. The game, of course, yesterday was as exciting as you can get. Boise State nipped Eastern Kentucky 31-29 on a last-second score. But Fred Clausen, president of the Camellia Bowl Association, told me today the NCAA wasn't happy with the field, expressed concern, and this may very well be a factor when a decision on the 82 and 83 games are announced in May. Now, I visited Clausen today. He also expressed concern over the turnout. Only 81-57 showed up.
I think we got hurt by the weather, at least to the tune of 2,000 people, which would have got us our 10,000. I, of course, was very optimistic before the game at my 14 all this last year, but maybe it's because after 5 years we have to build our following again like we did from 61 to 75.
So we may have to get that field in shape if we're going to keep a bowl game here in Sacramento. That's sports. Sarah and Otis will have more news right after this.